This is Times Square. But here's the thing, it's not square. It's barely even a plaza. And the New York Times, they haven't worked here in over 100 years. So how did this not so square square become the most iconic place in America? We're here in the heart of New York City, Times Square. But do you know that Times Square isn't actually a square? Okay, let's clear this up. Square in city terms doesn't mean a perfect four-sided shape. It just means an open space formed by intersecting streets, a plaza. That's why New York has Union Square, Herald Square, Madison Square, all named for what happens there, not how they're shaped. But Times Square, even by that definition, it's still a little weird. Because while it was technically an open area, it didn't feel like a real plaza until 2009, when they finally closed it off to cars and gave tourists somewhere to sit. And shape-wise, it's more like a bow tie, where Broadway slices diagonally through Manhattan's grid and crashes into 7th Ave like it's lost. It's loud, it's cluttered, it's iconic, but geometrically, still not a square. And it wasn't always Times Square. In fact, up until 1904, it was known as Longacre Square. Longacre Square, named after a district in London where people made horse carriages. Very glamorous, lots of manure. In 1904, the New York Times moved in and they renamed the entire plaza. They got their own subway stop, renamed the place, and 3 years later, the first ball dropped. They threw a New Year's Eve party with a giant ball falling from a pole. The crowd loved it. The ball, heavy. The symbolism, timeless. That was in 1907, and less than 7 years later, the New York Times leaves, but it's still known as Times Square. Yup, they bounced in 1913. But the name, it's stuck. Because New York never renames anything unless it's being gentrified or turned into a Whole Foods. But even though the Times left, the vibes didn't. Because Times Square kept showing up in America's biggest moments. Take VJ Day, Victory over Japan Day, August 14, 1945. World War II ends, the streets flood with people, and right in the middle of it all, this happens. A sailor grabs a random nurse and kisses her. No permission, just chaos. A photographer snaps the moment, and whether you see it as joyful or invasive, it became one of the most iconic photos in American history. It's loud, it's messy, it's so Times Square. So no, Times Square isn't really a square. The Times doesn't work here, and half the Elmos out here didn't pass 3rd grade. But somehow, this place became the heartbeat of New York. It's not perfect, it's not neat, but it's got history, lights, overpriced pretzels, and a whole lot of energy. If you learned something new, hit the like button. If you've ever escaped the crowd with your sanity intact, feel free to drop your favorite Times Square story. And if you know someone still looking for the actual square, feel free to send them this video.